Welcome to the Success Resequencing Project. I'm Debbie Ponticus.
And I'm Jenn Newman.
Join us as we challenge the traditional definitions of success so you can build a fulfilling path of your own.
Get ready for inspired, candid conversations while gaining tools, inspiration, and confidence to create your own authentic success story.
Good morning.
Toodaloo.
So this weekend, so this may be TMI for you and our audience, but we're going to go there.
We've talked about a lot on this show. I don't know that there's such thing as TMI.
Yeah. So it's like, I'm going through this time in my life via this perimenopause time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like your body is like, you feel like an alien inside your body because you don't feel like this is how you should feel at all times. Correct. And like things are happening that you can't control. And it's just like, you just feel like, so like, I am like wearing these really uncomfortable, like hold in your gut, like granny panty things.
Totally.
Because I'm like, well, this is my life now because otherwise everything's just falling everywhere. And like, it's just rolls that I don't, not rolls like you eat for dinner. Rolls are on my side. Like, it sucks, right? It sucks.
Yes, it does.
And I'm uncomfortable all the time. Like, I'm just like, I just don't feel great in my skin.
Yeah.
And it's very frustrating feeling and a place to be. And so it's like this whole sense of like, it just makes you be like, okay, what this word uncomfortable, like, there's a lot of things in life that make you uncomfortable, like, let alone, your underwear that makes you uncomfortable. But and I'm like, okay, let me just think about that for a bit. Like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Like, feeling uncomfortable is like certainly not pleasant, but like it at least puts the stop in place to be like, okay, you're uncomfortable. So what are you going to do about it? Yeah. Right?
Well, I felt that specific to perimenopause. I think I went through it earlier than a lot of my friends because of my own stuff. And it is probably, the word you said was so accurate about being an alien. You feel like it's an alien. You do not feel like you are who you are anymore. It's the weirdest out of body experience.
Right.
And I don't know if this has happened with you, but I'd catch myself in the mirror, or I would catch myself and I'd be like, that's not me. I don't know who that is, but that isn't me.
Yes.
It was incredibly demoralizing.
Yes. Yeah. And I just had that happen. I just did a listing video and I wore this outfit, this jumpsuit, which I've since burned. And I was like, I've had my picture taken in this jumpsuit before. Yeah. And I was like, okay, this is a rockin' jumpsuit. I'm going to feel good. And then I get the video back and I was like, oh, sweet baby Jesus. Like, why did anyone let me out of the house wearing this? Because this does not look like I had the frump going in the front. Like, it was like, what? Now everyone's going to go try and find this listing video. You'll see it. Now you won't unsee it now. And it's like, oh my God.
None of us are going to see it the same way.
I know. But it's like, I was just like, it's just so defeating and deflating. And you're like, because it's not like I am throwing caution to the wind and like eating Chick-fil-A 3 times a day and like whatever. Like I'm still doing the same things I've always done, which is like,
and that's what's so hard about it. It's like so frustrating.
And I just feel like a floating blimp the whole time.
It's the worst feeling. I think you had asked the question a couple minutes ago about, how that feeling of uncomfortable or being uncomfortable, it kind of puts this flag, it's like it raises the flag. Like if you don't want to feel this way, then what are you going to do about it? Mm-hmm. I think what perimenopause has taught me is that sometimes you are doing all the right things and sometimes change doesn't come. Yeah. Sometimes it means you have to do things differently.
Right.
And that, because before perimenopause, I would have always said, just fix it.
Yeah.
Right? It's just time to recalibrate, refocus, put your best foot forward, do the things that work, and then all is well, right? You're going to achieve the results that you want. That was what sent me into a mental and emotional spiral being in perimenopause. It's not that I'm not still in it, but I think I'm starting to
control over it.
Well, I think we're wrapping up.
Transitioning into the next wonderful phase.
Yes.
Yes, that's great.
So I don't know.
That for you.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. It's a transition that no one can prepare you for, because I've been very vocal about perimenopause. And my friends who hadn't gone through it yet were like, yeah, Jen. Oh, and secretly we're all going, I'm not going to have it like her. And now my friends who are going through it are like, fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, this is happening. And I'm like, you don't feel it until it happens to you, right? You can't wrap your mind around it until you're going through it.
Yeah.
And it's given me a lot of empathy, because it's really hard.
Yeah. It's hard.
It's really hard. It's an identity crisis, because you're like, I don't look like myself. I don't feel like myself. Everything that's been in my toolbox for all these years of my life that was successful is not working.
Yeah.
I'm even better to myself now than I was then. Still not working.
Right.
What is wrong with me?
Yeah.
And I asked myself that. It took me going to a new doctor. I went to multiple doctors, by the way. And what I realized through it all was that my gut wasn't wrong. I was doing everything right, but now something entered the chat that was no longer going to play fair.
Right.
And that I needed to acknowledge I was in a new season.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes that's what that uncomfortable feeling sometimes means. It's just a new season.
Yeah. And I think what an interesting parallel we can make with feeling uncomfortable in our skin and these body changes that we're going in, right? When we thought things were just figured out, and then bam, wham, something new happens and you're in this uncomfortable position. Like, think of just every day, like our business, everything that happens in our life. Like, there's times that you just feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
And you're like, I'm not sure I'm liking this where I am right now. Like, what is this? I'm not feeling like I'm at the top of my game. I feel like I'm misfiring.
Yep.
I feel like, everything should be going. I mean, I've done everything right. And why am I in this funk, this rut, all this, So it's like, that's where I go back to this word, being uncomfortable. And then, is that a good thing or is it a bad thing? I think it's not a comfortable, clearly it's uncomfortable place to be when you have that feeling. But I think that interesting parallel is like listening to your gut. Like on the health side, you got to listen to your gut, because the gut tells all. And if you have things, I wish you could see, like if you're watching, I'm like doing these really random like motions about my big belly. But it's like, okay, listen to your gut in business too. Like, you're feeling uncomfortable. I mean, have you had moments where you're like, I don't like where I am right now. I'm very uncomfortable. Not in a sense where it's like, mayday, 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 but it's like, I've just been you're presented an opportunity and you're just like, I don't know, that's kind of uncomfortable. But is it a bad uncomfortable? Or are you just not used to or afraid of or don't know how to handle a new door that's opened or a door that's shut? Or, it's like, how do we get past that sense of being uncomfortable to really like digest that and unpack it to be like, okay, am I feeling uncomfortable because, oh, wow, I don't know that I'm good enough. I don't know that I'm good enough to handle this.
Yeah.
What I've been presented
whatever
with,
whatever it is.
Yeah. Or you're uncomfortable because you may have to show up differently for yourself, for those around you, to be able to take this on. And are you comfortable with that, right? Or you've been handed some news, or you've been handed an opportunity that maybe you're like, oh, maybe that was for someone else and I got it. Ooh, that's uncomfortable. Like, but I deserve it. So I should be happy about this opportunity, but I feel like, ooh, it's a little uncomfortable and awkward because it was supposed to be someone else's opportunity. All these different things that I can see happening in people's lives. I don't know. It's just one of those things that's like, okay, I think if we unpack that a little bit, we can really dive into, is it bad or is it actually, you putting something, your body, your mental being is saying, okay, this is not normal. This is something new. And you need to kind of just settle into this a little bit.
There's a lot there.
Yeah. You're like, I think you asked me a question about 2.5 minutes ago.
Okay, I'm there. Yeah. I'm in it with you. I'm in it with you. I think it's, so let's
Have I made you uncomfortable with this question?
Not at all. Not at all. I think there's a difference between being uncomfortable and being uncertain.
Okay, yeah.
And I think uncertainty is probably the path. If I'm faced with feeling uncomfortable, my first question is going to be, is this because I'm uncertain? Or is this because I don't want to do it? Or because it's intuitively, it's not right for me? Mm-hmm. And the not right for me piece would be weighed against my why and would be weighed against my value system. Like, does this fall in line with my goals, my dreams, my aspirations, my family, my beliefs, et cetera, et cetera? I think uncomfortable can be good and bad at the same time. Yeah, I think it can. And I think that when something requires a new level of ourselves, that means change. That means we're going to have to do something different. So I think sometimes being uncomfortable is also, it's kind of like when, we've talked about it before about when I said the year of the diaper back when I was going through things, because that was an entire year of being uncomfortable. But what the takeaway from that time was that I just needed to change my own diaper. No one else was going to come change it for me. Yeah. And I think sometimes being uncomfortable means if the pants are too tight, proverbially, figuratively, or literally, sometimes the answer isn't to try to get back into those pants. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that's not it. That's an old way of being. It doesn't serve us in the moment. Sometimes we just need to buy new pants. Yeah. And I think that's where we weigh out, at least in my own personal experience, that's where I try to weigh it out. I'll say, am I going to try to do everything I can to hang on to this? Or am I going to just try this now and see if I feel better and see what that does? And I use that example for a very specific reason. And that's where I was at in perimenopause. And I'm bringing it back to that because it's also, I've encountered that in my business over the past several years where there were moments where it was like, am I going to go buy new pants? Mm-hmm. Or am I actually fine in the pants? Do I just need to put the chips down? Right. Okay. There's a difference. Right. The same thing with perimenopause. I had put the chips down. Yeah. I had done everything I knew to do. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't changing. So then I went and bought all new pants and was trying to find the grace and the peace within to acknowledge that this was a new season in my life. Mm-hmm. Then it got even more fun when actually there was something going on that was preventing me from being able to do what I needed to do. And then I had to make another major shift. Right. And then the pants fit again. Yeah. So then I had to ask myself, okay, now these are too big now. I got to get rid of all these brand new pants that I bought. Now I have these old pants. But you know what I realized? I actually needed to buy new, smaller pants. Yeah. Why? Because I wasn't that person either. Right? I had evolved. I had changed. It wasn't an either or. It was that whole evolution had taken me to a new spot and all of it was uncomfortable. Yeah. The old was uncomfortable, didn't feel right anymore. The new was uncomfortable because I was having to radically change things and create something new for myself. And then now I'm just starting to feel like, actually, I am back. Mm-hmm. Right? I don't feel as foreign to myself anymore. Yeah. But that doesn't mean I went back. Right. It meant I went forward. Yeah. Right? It meant I had to evolve through it, not change course, but keep going and have new tools, new pants. Yeah. We talked about the sisterhood of the traveling pants. I'm not trying to be too hyperbolic there. I think it can be both. Yeah. And I think that sometimes That's the point, right?
Yeah.
I think sometimes it is about, okay, acceptance. This is a new time. This is a new whatever, new season. And mourning the past, like saying that I didn't realize how good I had it, meaning like my 30s weren't as rough as I thought they were.
Right.
Or, you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of mourning of like, I'm sorry, perimenopause is a journey. And those of us who are in the thick of it, it is a weird phenomenon that this whole part of our identity comes to an end.
Mm-hmm.
It's a major shift. But then there's a second half of life, right? And it's like learning what that's going to look and feel like. I had come to accept that I was always going to need those bigger pants. And I say that because that was a new image. I was trying to take on this new image of myself, and it was really emotional for me.
Yeah.
And it was hard. And it caused me to look and go, wow, I wish I had appreciated that other image maybe more when I was in it, because now it felt like it was gone for good. And that was a real part of this story.
Yeah. Well, I think that a lot, people that are going through this have to have that similar, because I've had that thought a lot of, do I just need to accept that this is the new me now? Like, what is realistic?
Correct.
What's a realistic expectation? Because is it time to just say goodbye, to yesterday, like NSYNC used to say? Was that NSYNC or something? Anyway,
I'm not going to know.
I wouldn't either.
Yes.
It's not it. But, and just be like, okay, well, let's embrace this new life, this new place, this new position, and just be like, okay, how do I make myself feel good in this skin?
Yep. And man, did I try.
Yep. And it's tough, because you have to really just go in and embrace it and then accept it. And then I'm like, wait, am I sure I need to accept it? Have I done everything? Or do I not want to try everything? That's
I
the
don't
other
believe
part.
that with you, though. I say that the circumstances have changed. Right. So it's like, it's a reminder sometimes that sometimes it's just different. It's not your fault. I think that was the piece that I had to come to terms with, was I was so in such a cycle of shame around the changes that were happening. And I got so granular with it that I was like, well, I could say that I did have that seized chocolate. I would have one piece a day. And I remember going to my new doctor and saying, I did have one piece of chocolate a day. Like, and he looked at me and he's like, Jennifer, that is not what this is.
Yeah.
I was riddled with that because I always had the tools, right? I always knew the tricks of the trade. It always worked for me. Oh, maybe I had a little too much. I'll back it down. I'll be fine. But his point was, this is not your fault.
Right.
This isn't you. This is chemistry. And if someone's listening to this with perimenopause, in all fairness, it was insulin resistance, classic, up one side and down the other. I had all the labs to prove it. And we now can track it that I likely had PCOS my whole life and a different form than what most people have. And so he was like, it was inevitable for you.
Yeah.
So we've had to get real wild about what that means. And that meant a very strict, very low carb, very high protein diet. And that's been not a set of, I wouldn't have used those tools. I didn't know to use those tools.
Yeah.
It was foreign to me, but it wasn't my fault. And I think sometimes we have to be reminded of that. Sometimes shit changes.
Right.
And it's not because we did something wrong.
Right.
But because it looks different, I felt the need to explain that a lot because I was ashamed. I felt like it looked like, for me, it was a symbol of my worst fear, which was that I had let myself go.
Right.
And I didn't ever want that. And I thought, is this what happens? Like, I've let myself go. Oh my God. There's no turning back. And that was really hard. And then I went to embrace it. So I went to Chico's.
Yeah. Oh. I was just about to say, it's like, do you embrace the moo-moo and you just be like, I'm going to look like a fabulous.
You saw me.
Yeah.
I was wearing freaking moo-moos.
Yeah.
I had drapes and capes
Yes.
and flows. and like whatever that was, tunics.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong. Please, please let me.
Like,
I'm
listen,
not shaming. I'm not. It's just
very classic look, very classy. Yes,
it was a different vibe.
It's a different season.
And when I go in, I go all in, right? So I was like, if this is the new pattern, then I'm going to go to Chico's and I'm going to embrace this and my stretchy pants and we're going to figure this out. What I learned in it was that didn't help.
Yeah.
So what my moral of this story is, I still knew something wasn't right.
Yeah.
And something was off.
Right.
And
you still felt uncomfortable.
I still felt uncomfortable. I bought the bigger pants. I bought what I call the butt underwear, which is the big butt underwear, right?
Yeah.
I bought it with the panels and I was like, I'm here to stay. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right.
That's right.
And I didn't feel any better.
Yeah.
And that's when I will say that's when it got a little scary because I thought this is not how I want the rest of my life to look like.
Yeah. And I think what a point I want to make with all of this, and yes, this discussion was like 80% about perimenopause because, well, that's our lives right now.
But it's a great illustration.
But it's a great illustration. Yes. But it's about like, you know, if you try and cover up the uncomfortableness.
Yep.
Instead of figuring out what's causing it. Right. You're never going to feel 100% clarity that this is the right way and the path that you were supposed to go.
That's right.
And that's the hard part is you want to cover it up. Like you want to just be like, okay, this is just a moment in time.
Yep.
You know, my hormones, it's like, listen, going back to this whole thing, it's like, you know, historically, it's like, yeah, you have a couple of days during your cycle that's like, good Lord, bring out the fat pants. Like, because I am holding all water in today.
Yes, like, that also meant you could eat all the chocolate, all the French fries, all the things. Oh,
yeah. And you had an excuse for it. And because you knew like 3 or 4 days later, you were going to be back to your, all will be good. Like you're feeling back into your skinny jeans
Those
again.
were the days, Deb. Those were the days
when we could eat our, wad of chickens and fries and all that. But, now it's gotten to a point where it's like, oh, wait, what's happening? Like, it's not going away.
It doesn't go away.
It doesn't go away.
Nope.
It's like, and I'm doing everything right. Like I'm doing Sally Struthers thigh blasters, we're pulling out all the stops. We're like doing
Sally
Suzanne Struthers. Sally Struthers.
Sally Struthers was like, feed the children.
Well, that is another thing about perimenopause that I will not deny. And it's like, listen, my brain ain't firing on all cylinders.
Okay. But another SS. Suzanne Summers, Sally Struthers.
I got close. Like, give me credit. Like, for me on the life of perimenopause, there's like a target.
Say the life of Mary Poppins.
Well, that too. Listen, it's like a target. Like, you see the big target on the thing, and I'm just going to throw a dart. And if I at least hit the target somewhere, like with what comes out of my mouth, if it's somewhere accurate.
Call it close, but not quite.
Yes. It's like,
they wrote a song about it for me. I will explain that in a later date.
Must hear this song. But so that's what's happening with that. So Sally Struthers, Suzanne Summers,
got the thigh master.
Whatever. We're doing the whatever we can. Like, what the hell? And then you don't get the results. It's very deflate. Jeez Louise.
That too.
I'm going to make up like deflating. It's a word now. Ladies and gentlemen.
I like it.
Deflating.
Deflating.
Jeez, let's end this now because I'm just crashing and burning.
No, it is awesome.
But yeah, it's
a piece. It's honoring you have to honor your inner voice and your inner thighs, clearly.
With Sally Struthers.
But
hashtag Sally Struthers.
Sally Struthers. I'm having like flashbacks of Reader's Digest. Did your mom have those?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And how like you would open up the Reader's Digest. There was always Sally Struthers was in them periodically I just remember stamps. Remember how like you'd get the stamps and it was like the books and the order and the stamps? But I'm now having flashbacks of Sally Struthers with her big blonde curly hair in the Reader's Digest. So I'm going to have to go figure that out because that's a core memory apparently. And I need to figure that out. Anyway, that being said, don't cover it up.
Yeah.
just honor the fact that if it doesn't feel right, that means something needs to shift.
Yeah.
And if you do all the things and it still doesn't feel right, then you have to ask for help.
Right.
And I say that on so many levels, because whether it's a doctor, whether it's functional medicine, whether it's a coach or a mentor or someone who's been through it, whether it's business, perimenopause, personal life, it doesn't matter. It's okay to know that you've taken yourself as far as you can with the knowledge that you have, and that maybe someone else can help guide you.
Right.
And that was critical for me. I'm sitting here today in a different frame of mind because I had absolutely hit the wall.
Yeah.
And me crying in the doctor's office, I'm not exaggerating, because I felt so terrible about myself. That was a cycle that really bothered me and concerned me, because that's not my typical MO.
Right.
And so I knew something wasn't right.
Yeah.
And I felt that in my business. I felt that in my career years, like when it just was time that something needed to be different.
Yeah.
And you just don't know what else to do. That's when you have to ask for help. And I hope that that's the takeaway, is it's okay to ask.
Yeah. When you're feeling uncomfortable, whether it's physical or in a business situation or whatever it is, like you have to lean into that to figure out, again, don't cover it up. There's a reason that you're getting these senses, and it's like the spidey senses, like, okay, something's not right. I'm not comfortable in my skin, not comfortable in my position, not comfortable in my season. Okay, if I cover it up, it's not going to change.
Correct.
So you have to be able to, again, go in and dissect and figure out what is causing this, and then make a plan to find that kind of clarity of like, okay, there is a solution.
There is. And then it just gives you such peace. You know, the goal is to find that peace. Doesn't mean peace is not the absence of noise, right? It's just like that sense of I'm on the right track again. And that is the feeling that I wish for everyone who's in that feeling right now of just not knowing what to do next. Then maybe it's just time to ask.
So if anyone else is feeling that way, like, let us know. Like, we would love to hear kind of what you're struggling with and what you feel you're uncomfortable with right now.
Yeah.
And
because
I'm sure there's someone else that has the same.
Someone has the same feeling or has been there and can help you through it, right? That's the other piece.
Yeah. All right. Well, back to my granny panties and Sally Struthers.
You heard it here. You heard it here.
Thanks for joining us. If you loved this episode and know of someone who would find value in it, please spread the word and share it with a friend. We are passionate about redefining success, and it would mean the world if you could help us get our mission out to as many people as possible. Please take a minute to write a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. You can also hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with our latest episodes. Connect with us on Instagram at Success Resequencing Project or via our website at www.successresequencing.com. We'd love to hear your story.